Hello, Martin and Adam and Jessica are here, and we're here to discuss Martin's book, which is called Resurrect and Reclaim the True You. And this is our second, well, it's part 2, and it's so exciting because we've got Jessica here, and we sent her the episode last week, our first episode, and she was straight back with lots to say, and no pressure because it's all new for everyone. So take it away.
There we go. Yeah, well, thank you as well, Jessica, for coming tonight.
Thank you for the invite.
And just really, because I know a little bit about your background,
Yeah.
but would you share that just so we get a bit of a flavour of you?
Yeah, how far back does this background need to go?
You know, it's it doesn't matter. It's because obviously what we're looking at here is the theme, if you like, of resurrect and reclaim the true you. And you know, as I say, I know a little bit about what you've been experiencing and trying to do. So I suppose in that kind of arena, you know, where have you been?
Yeah,
What's
so
been your journey?
Yeah, I guess my journey more recently and more relevant to the book is working in mental health, and now with people who are at risk of homelessness. So there is a lot of seeing people who have got completely blindsided by life and they don't even know how to deal with the moment, let alone who they are. That there's just no comprehension of what life might look like other than surviving this moment. So I suppose that is why this book interests me, and because it's never far from me personally either, this panic that I'm going to lose track of who I am and lose the momentum that in those moments of clarity are so real and forceful coming through you.
I mean, straight away I'm going to ask you, Jessica, do you think the people that you work with, has any of them, I mean obviously you've got to be careful of confidentiality, but has any of them voiced maybe what would, do you think there's hope for them? Do they ever say what would improve their lives?
Yeah, definitely. Whether it's what would improve their lives or what they would like to see their lives looking like, I think there is that. Even being completely lost in everything of this massive, overwhelming tidal wave of stuff, there's still the idea that this is who I would like to be, or that's what I would like to do.
So they do have a goal.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
They might not have any idea of that goal being real.
Yeah,
but there's something there.
But so would you be able to categorize it or just give a few examples of the goals that people you've come across have? You know, because you're talking about homeless people and this, that and the other, and you're, you know, so without breaking any confidentiality, we're not naming names,
no,
but because I'm just interested in understanding, you know, where those kind of dreams are, if you want to describe it like that, where they're originating from.
I think they're probably very different dreams than the ones that we would be discussing amongst ourselves of what we want to be achieving. I think stability is a massive thing, just this idea of actually having something that is not a constant battle. And I think that's when the bigger dreams then reveal themselves, when actually I've got this stable basis with which to go from. That's when something else becomes realised, but initially it's about having those basic needs met, isn't it?
It's funny though, because I sometimes look at that differently, because when we're comfortable, sometimes what that does is actually lead us to a situation where we don't make the moves. I mean, the only certainty is life, as they say, is uncertainty.
Yeah.
And I think that's what most people are trying to do, is find certainty in an uncertain world.
Yeah.
We have no idea what tomorrow will bring, but so there's that. But sometimes it's only when you're right up against the wall that those real core things, as I call it, sometimes surface.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of complacency, isn't there? and you get yourself to a level and you just kind of sit there.
Yeah.
That's a conversation I have with my parents quite frequently, and they would identify themselves as plodders. They're happy to just, I've reached that level, I'll keep going with that. I'm like, but what else is there? What else is out there? Who else can I be? What else can I do?
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of hope and being optimistic. And even if someone isn't optimistic, be optimistic on their behalf.
Absolutely.
Because some people, and there's a lot of people out there, do come from hellish backgrounds, but end up, on a basic level content. But also, I've met people that have come from extreme poverty and etc. And like nowhere, almost being born on the street, to being, to the extreme where they're billionaires. But not everyone wants to be a billionaire. It's not always necessary to be one. But actually,
I'd like to try.
Who's to say that you can't be anything you want to be? But it's one step at a time as well.
Yeah.
But you got to start off. There's got to be something in you that says this is where I'm heading. Because if you don't have a direction, then anything will do.
Well, and also that freedom can be terrifying as well. You can be anything. You can do anything. Well, where do I even begin? Because that's massive.
Yeah.
So you've got to be able to tap into that. What feels right for me, and where would I like to see things go? And that doesn't need to be specific. There's just got to be some sort of draw for you there.
And there's people out there, and we're all guilty of it, that we take things for granted. We all have tasters of what it feels like to be desolate, and it's a human right just to have enough. I think
it should be, Adam. Unfortunately, society doesn't work in that respect. If you look at the the universal credit thing, how somebody in government, as an example, can say this is the way to go, and it might well be, but when you're putting people into desperate situations, and then actually saying yes, but we believe it will work in the fullness of time, but those people don't have fullness of time; they have today.
Yeah.
And so
because they've got bailiffs knocking on the door, and they've got to choose between paying their rent and their electricity, because actually they don't have the luxury of doing it all. The money's not there. It's hard to have hope in something beyond just surviving that immediate moment when that's the situation. And Adam, you're totally right. There's this lovely phrase that I came across when I was working in Australia of holding people's hope.
On their behalf.
Yeah, for when they don't have it there. It's kind of like, I'll take care of this because I'm in a place where I have the luxury of hope being something that is in my world. I'll hold it for you until you're ready to take it. I like that idea.
That's nice.
It's amazing. Nice. It's amazing.
Would you necessarily tell them that?
I would say that I would tell them that I've got this for you. Like, I'd like to see you having this, but I can see where you're at, and do you know what? It's with me. I've got enough to share. You can have some.
It's quite funny. It's quite funny as well. It reminds me of when I was having a chat with one of my friends from school, and it's strange being at school and then you see your friends like 10 years later, 10 years on, and you're adults, so you can hopefully have a better conversation with them. And it was quite funny because I'll be careful with names and stuff, but we were chatting, we were excited to see each other, and it was weird because we ended up by accident having a competition in who was more messed up, who had more trauma,
more trauma in your life.
And I said, we got to stop this because this is, if you notice what we're doing, we're just it's turned into like who's had a worse, who's had a worse experience. But it was weird because why did that happen?
Yeah.
Why did we go there?
Well, I mean, it's possibly an opportunity for you to review where you've been. and then actually reflect on it, because most people live in the cesspit of their past. That's how I view it. And I describe it so that what we try and do is actually go back to places in our lives where it hasn't worked out right. And in our mind, we're actually trying to re-engineer it. So we're trying to actually repair something that is already gone. So, and they say, oh, but if only that hadn't happened. And if only that happened. And if only that hadn't happened. And so we try and go back and repair something that we can never ever repair. Be that a relationship, be that, money decision, be it career decision. But we try and repair stuff in our past. And I actually believe that the mind actually retains everything. And so we have this situation where everybody says, oh, just forget about it. And when we actually come to a place where we realize that we will never, ever forget, then we're in trouble. Because it's like, well, hang on a second, I've got to forget about this. But actually, you never will.
No.
And the more we try and
Yeah.
Stop remembering it, it's actually bigger and
It
bigger and
keeps
bigger in
coming
our head,
for you.
isn't it?
Yeah. I think the more we try and run away from things, the more they come for us. It's almost like a child. If you're ignoring a child, they're going to do more and more to get your attention. And I think that's what happens with our memories and the things we're trying to move away from. If we're not paying attention to them in the right way so that we can look at them when it suits us, when we can actually take something from it, they just overwhelm us because they need our attention. Everything does, good and bad. We have to attend to it, but it's not getting lost in that, because then invariably you just end up repeating the same things that you're trying to escape from your past.
Yeah. And our past is our past, but it doesn't have to dominate today. And again, it's when we talk about resurrection, as I'm doing in the book, that is about refinding ourselves. And that's why I was fascinated to understand just some of the people that you meet, Jessica. What kind of dreams are they actually outlining to you? What would they be?
And do you know what? I just recounted a story of a person I worked supporting in mental health over in Australia, and this person had a diagnosis of schizophrenia, and obviously had a massive battle working through everything that meant, as well as the experience that they were having, and described this idea of I had a map for my life and I knew where things were going, and I've literally had to screw that map up, throw it away and start again. And rather than being frustrated by that, saw that as an opportunity to, I'm drawing the roads. I get to decide again where everything's going and what goes on this map. And I think that perfectly recaptures this idea of resurrecting. It's, what do I want to bring with me from before? What was useful? And actually, what don't I want? What doesn't help me? And what else do I want to bring in? Maybe there are things I never thought I would have or do or be. And actually, because of this experience I've been through, I'm going to choose to actually bring them into my map of what life looks like. And I think that's not a specific dream, but I think that's a lovely way of looking at where's my life going from here.
Brilliant description. Yeah.
I liked that a lot.
Yeah, because it's about using the past to actually empower our future. And but again, it comes back to choice. Because we can actually use it to actually decimate our future.
Yes.
Or we can choose to use it as our power.
Yeah.
That kind of relationship happened before. I'm never going to be in one. And as soon as I recognise that that's the situation, I'm out of there.
Yeah.
I've got to be strong enough to recognise it and actually come away. Rather than, what they say is that the universe actually keeps bringing things into our lives. And then it's a little bit like the toothache scenario. We have a bit of a toothache, so we start eating on the other side. Then it actually gets a little bit more uncomfortable, so we take a paracetamol. Then one night we're up all night, and we have to go to the dentist. So the universe brings us back situations which can be not the same exactly, but it will raise the intensity until we've dealt with it,
Yeah.
and then we can move on to the next stage.
Yeah.
So it brings something back. How am I in this same situation
Yeah.
again? So, and it's a recognition that this is the universe actually helping us to learn.
Mm. Yeah, if we'll allow it to.
If we'll allow it. And that's the key thing, is recognising it,
Yeah.
isn't it?
I mean, I think we're all on our own path, and I mean, we've got, everyone's life is slightly different, and I think we're all on a mission for ourselves.
Mm.
We are on a voyage through time and space.
Yeah.
And we're the ship. We're all we're all on a journey, individual.
But
to us.
I again in the book, how I've described it, because quite often we actually think, why don't some people change? Some people go, as you were describing, Jessica. Your mum and dad seem to be on a nice level.
Mm-hmm.
And they seemingly, now we never know. I was actually listening. There's a lot of stuff in the media at the moment about people committing suicide, and they were talking about this guy from Love Island, who over the last few days, bless him, and they were talking about the support structures. And this girl was talking she said this guy was absolutely. She said he was amazingly handsome.
Mm.
Had amazing physique,
but
she said he was the loveliest guy. She said, I quite obviously did not know what was going on inside him. And we can never know that. So someone can have the most amazing exterior, but inside is...
somebody said something once to me, it's a bit weird, and maybe I agree with them, or they were just vocalising something. They said, why do all the nice people go early? And I'm like, well, I'm nice. What's she trying to say? But and then all the nasty bullies live longer. I mean, that's one theory, and I don't think it's. I think it's a random thing, as well. I mean, life's so sensitive. It's like fragile, but at the same time, you don't have to worry about it, and keep. I used to. I mean, I'm dealing with this at the moment. I used to worry about so many things. I wasn't living because I was had a list of things to worry about, and I thought, if I regret anything in my life, it'll be the time spent worrying. Yeah, and that's the only regret I have.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think that what we try and put a justification to things. So one of the greatest people on this planet, I think, is David Attenborough. Yeah. So, literally, I just think he's an awesome individual. Now he's 93.
Yeah, hasn't had any bad press yet.
No, hopefully he never will. God, I mean, that would destroy me, I think.
10 years after he's died.
I mean, it was bad enough dealing with Rolf Harris kind of thing, let alone